Well, they timed this perfectly. Now I know why they gave us these stick mics, because as Murphy's Law would have it, to cue up the start of this show, they've already got the audio presentation running, and we are here in North Charleston, South Carolina, the scene for, you might have heard something about a big debate tonight, 2 waves of those debates, and you're going to see it all on Fox Business. The bottom line is, for all the candidates hustling around and getting a sort of a lay of the land earlier today, Reince Priebus is telling me, the RNC chief who joins you now, that they've all had a chance to sort of, scope things out, understand where they're going to be, their positions, and they seem like they're pretty comfortable with everything. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a big night for the party, and it's a tough decision for the party. These are varsity candidates. It's not easy, so they're excited about today. And they've been through the walkthrough, they're checking out the backstage, the podium, the sound, getting comfortable with their surroundings. And
by the way, on the sound, I think I can say that they've got it just right. It's
fairly loud, nice and loud.
Right,
it's going to be great.
All right. I was joking with you, as it was Sean yesterday, who's your top lieutenant, about juggling this and candidates and egos. Of course, Rand Paul won't be showing up for a debate today. He wanted to be in the main debate. How do you juggle that? Deal with that? I mean, you want to be fair with everyone,
sure,
and then you deal with the dust up back and forth with candidates who feel they were slighted, or Donald Trump, and the dust up with Nikki Haley. What do you do when all that happens?
Well, I mean, first of all, you try to stay out of calling balls and strikes as much as you can. And you try to remind people of Reagan's 11th commandment, and you try to remind people of what
they've long since disavowed that.
I don't know. I think there's been some jabs and there's been some pushes and shoves, but if you look back at American history, it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, you look at the success of winning in a general has very little to do with the size or scope of the, I better quit talking,
right,
of the field.
A game show. No, the correct answer is
1992.
Right.
Huge Democrat primary, a lot of fighting, beating an incumbent, fairly, popular president. Look at 2008. Hillary and Barack Obama nearly gouged each other's eyes out, went all the way to June, sued each other over delegates, and they killed us. So I think people overanalyze this stuff.
You must be surprised that there are still so many in this race.
Well, it depends on how you want to spend your money. I mean, with the inclusion of super PACs, it doesn't take a whole lot of hard cash. Yeah. I think it did, but you do see that hard cash is king. And, and at the end of the day, you've got to have the hard money or the ability to identify voters, turn them out, and win in those gymnasiums in Iowa in February, and that's expensive.
Let me ask you a little bit about Nikki Haley. Of course, there was a lot of heat that in the Republican response she chose to zing Donald Trump. As she said in follow-up interviews, love Donald Trump. I've had my differences with other candidates as well. But a lot of people quickly read into that. Maybe she was going through RNC talking points. Maybe she was told to say what she said about the language and the kind of conduct that she was intimating made Donald Trump and his remarks so bad.
Well, she was just praising Donald Trump yesterday. In fact, he's helped her out on her campaign.
But not at the time of her response.
So, but, look, I looked at that, and I looked at it as a difference of opinion. And,
when
part
you say
of
you looked at it, did you look at it before
when
she
I watched it? No, okay. I did not.
So there was no Politburo kind of stuff going on?
No. I mean, the National Party is here to make sure that the infrastructure, the ground game, the voter registration, all of that, a lot of boring stuff is done really, really well. And whoever you're for watching this right now, I think we can all agree that we need to have a competent national party that has its act together when it comes to the mechanics of winning an election. That is our job. Staying out of the election is our job too. And that's why I don't take a position on who should win and who shouldn't. So, for me, when I look at the response or a difference of opinion, I remind myself and others, there are only 2 real political parties in this country. There are 2 doors people can walk through, and the people that walk through those doors, in many cases, don't agree with each other on everything. But that's okay, and that's what you have here. We've got 12 varsity candidates. They don't agree with each other on everything. But one person is going to be the nominee, and the RNC is going to be behind.
Do you think everyone could rally around the nominee, no matter who it is? Because when I mentioned Donald Trump, they said, well, some of the people who aren't too keen on say he won't be the nominee, Neil. And I say, well, if he were, Well, he won't be. Well, if he were, it's as if, are we still going through this?
Any one of our candidates could be the nominee. So
what do you tell them? Is that that's not productive?
Well, look, what I say is if you're going to be the spokesperson, the nominee, and the individual that represents our party, which is a private organization, you darn very well better agree that you're going to support whoever that nominee is. If not, then you shouldn't be the nominee of our party.
See the possibility. I know you've got so many things to do. I appreciate you taking the time. That we're going to get to Cleveland with the convention, and there won't be a nominee. Whoever it is, there might be someone leading, but a long way from the delegates necessary. So you got to have a broker convention, multiple ballot thing. Problem.
Well, first of all, there's no brokered conventions. I mean, there's no brokers. There's no people that represent other delegates. So,
well, by
the
that
only
I mean,
chance would be like an open convention or a contested convention. I think the chances are very, very, very unlikely based on the rules as they're written.
I don't know. I've done the math on this because I'm a nerd.
Well, I helped write the rules.
Okay,
so
well,
I know the rules pretty well.
I have a calculator. And one of the things I've noticed, kidding aside, is that with this many candidates in the race, so many apportioned delegate rewards in a lot of states, not all, that it would be very tough actually for some person to have all the delegates going into Cleveland.
Well, actually, even in a proportional state,
right?
It's not like if you have 12 people running and you get 5% and I get 10%, that we're splitting 5 and 10% of the delegates. In most of those states, if you don't get 10 or 15 or 20% of the vote, and even a proportion,
right. So you're not getting it. Right. Okay. So all right.
So if you got 50% of the vote in a proportional state, you get them all, and so. In a lot of states. So the rules are set up.
You don't see that happening. You see the first ballot, someone will be nominated.
I don't. And if the unlikely chance that we do go to a contested convention, we'll be ready to take a vote on the floor.
By the way, we should stress, and you're a great student of history, contested conventions are fine. Abraham Lincoln did okay in one, right?
And we are having a convention in July as opposed to Labor Day too.
Sure. So and we don't even start talking about Miller Fillmore. Right?
Again, but it's unlikely.
Okay. All right. Put you down.
These clips can kill you, so I just have to keep saying that.
All right. Save this clip of this interview. Okay. Very good seeing you. Good luck with
Thank you, Neil. Good luck tonight.
All right.